Welcome to another roll call training segment from the J. Harris Academy of Police Training. Today we're going to talk about the one thing that kills more law enforcement officers across the United States than any other: police suicide. No matter what position you are in the agency, from chief to patrol, no matter what your political affiliation may or may not be, we are all concerned with the well-being of our brother and sister officers. Now, more than ever, we must stay vigilant. If you see something, say something. Command staff may be too far removed from the officers experiencing the issue. We are going to rely on our first-line supervisors or the immediate supervisor of the officer in trouble. We are going to rely on their peers, their coworkers, their close friends. We're relying on you to identify the minor adjustments in behavior, the minor changes in their appearance, their work quality decreasing, their productivity decreasing. We're going to look to you to see if they are becoming more accident prone, or maybe they're becoming more involved with motor vehicle crashes. We are going to rely on you to see if their behavior changes. Maybe they're drinking more, maybe they're more isolated than ever before. These subtle changes may mean that you have an officer or friend or even a relative in crisis. You have to make sure you're vigilant and see something, say something about the behavior you're seeing. We can get you help. We can get your officers help. There's numerous resources out there for these issues. As we begin to examine this epidemic, hear what one state is doing in an attempt to assist with this problem.
Can you please give us an overview of your pilot program that you're starting in New Jersey?
Yeah, so let me, maybe I'll back up to why we started it.
Absolutely.
So we saw a huge gap in giving our officers the tools that they need to deal with internal threats. I felt that we did a great job on giving them the bulletproof vests, giving them the Bearcats, giving them all the equipment they need to protect against the external threats, but not enough to develop that resiliency, to deal with adversity in a positive way, to spiral up instead of spiral down, as we say. And it was really highlighted after 2 Christmases ago. I met Sheriff's Officer Pablo Santiago, Mercer County Sheriff's Officer, and we had made plans to do a homeless feeding together, but before we could do that, he took his own life. And he was a community-oriented officer. He was really the model of who we want as a cop, you know, in the community, doing the job. And that really shook me. And then you started to see what was happening in New York with the numbers of suicides and among law enforcement, current and former. And so when I came to this convention last year, I said we're going to stand up a statewide resiliency program by the end of the year.
Excellent.
And we had a conference in October of last year where we had 1,300 law enforcement officers come in, talk about this issue. Step one, right? Drawing the stigma away from it. Because we don't talk about it. There's no booth here about mental health help. I mean, there should be, and I think maybe you're starting to see it, but now we're starting to talk about it. And then we stood up the statewide program. We're doing the Master Resiliency Trainers next week, so every department has a designated resiliency officer. They're getting their resiliency trainers trained next week, and they'll be it's a train the trainer model. They'll go back into their departments. By the end of 2022, every officer in the state will be trained on our resiliency program. That means knowing who to call or who to be in touch with when you need help. And that also means having those skills, right? If you deal with something at home or in the job, then you can just deal with it a little bit better. That's the resiliency part. And so it's my hope that we don't get that call with that tragedy, and we do as much as we can.
So we see, we all know after a major traumatic incident, we take care of our officers.
Yep.
But day in and day out, it's our officers and emergency workers in EMS field and fire as well who see incredible things that the normal person shouldn't see on an everyday basis. So I think you're hitting on those areas that we are often neglecting, the cumulative stress, not the traumatic stress.
Yeah, I mean, it is cumulative, right? You know, our officers are the first to run to a domestic violence situation, the first to go revive somebody with Narcan, the first to respond to an event of domestic terror, like in Jersey City.
Absolutely.
And then we expect them to go home, right, take off their uniform, and pretend like nothing happened at work that day. And so that's what I mean, where we're not doing enough to give them those skills to deal with those internal threats, those issues that sort of build up and take a toll on you. We don't want, we do early warning systems, right? We're changing that. We're going to call it an early intervention system. We don't want to trip any red flags. We want to be in a world where we train officers and we're in a place where they know how to react in a positive way, spiral up, deal with their well-being, and they perform better if
Absolutely.
we could do that.
Now, this is a program that is the first in the nation. Where do you see your vision with this program going?
I want us to talk about these issues the way we talk about any other law enforcement need. We need this tool, we need that tool. It's another tool to give to law enforcement. I see it improving the way law enforcement interacts with community. I see it leading to better interactions. I see it leading to better outcomes for individual officers, that we're not dealing with the alcoholism, we're not dealing with the substance abuse problems that we know happen, right? They're silent, Absolutely. They're in the dark, that we're dealing with this in a positive way and that everyone's doing better. It's better for police community relations, it's better for public safety, it's better for law enforcement safety. And we are the model for the rest of the country. Our deputies just went down to Florida to present at a conference, and people are coming here next week from all across the world to be part of our Master Resiliency training program to see how Jersey does it.
That's great. That was actually one of my next questions was, what other areas of the world and the United States are actually reaching out to take part in a program like this?
Well, we've opened it up to everybody. It's free. We're not charging for the Master Resiliency training. We've had people from all across the country, internationally, reach out to our office wanting to attend. The NYPD obviously has been dealing with its own issues. They're wanting to attend, but more importantly, other first responders. So we've opened it up to the fire service. We're going to open it up to the EMS folks, because it's not just, again, when we're responding to tragedy, the firefighter is also maybe resuscitating somebody, seeing somebody in a horrible fire, or the EMS worker who's there responding to a situation where they're experiencing similar trauma. And one more thing, we also recognize that our prosecutors, they deal with this also. If you're a career homicide prosecutor,
Absolutely.
You're dealing with the same stress. If you're prosecuting those who victimize children, that's a different stress. If you're prosecuting child pornographers, different stress, seeing those types of images. So it affects a lot of people in this profession. So we want to make this a model that we could export to other areas of the criminal justice system, other first responders.
Thank you very much. Before we end, if there's anybody across the nation who wants to take part of this program, is there a special number or website they can go to get that?
They should just go to the New Jersey Attorney General's office website. We have information on the Resiliency Program. Rob Sepiel is our Chief Resiliency Officer for the state. He's a career prosecutor, and he's the point of contact in our office. And we'll provide you the exact email addresses and phone numbers, and you can make those known to your listeners. And we want more people coming to talk about this issue, learning about this issue, and dealing with this issue.
Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And that brings us to the end of this roll call training segment. If you know anybody who may need assistance, or if you yourself may need assistance, do not hesitate. We can help you. It's up to all of us to protect our brother and sister officers.